Wow, I never imagined that part of my life goals would involve hosting a buzzword conference. Here we are. And here are my slides. I'm super prepared. Observability, what does it even mean? There are lots of competing definitions, and nobody seems to know. And we didn't want to be those assholes who are like, here's our marketing term, follow us. But it's clear to me that we're all kind of present at the beginning of something, right? Everyone who's here, I suspect, has had the same experience I have of running up against a wall or running off a cliff where your tools just stop working for you, right? Where your systems have reached this event horizon of complexity or chaos, sometimes self-inflicted, totally fair. But everything that we were told was the right way to do things isn't actually fixing things for us. So I feel like there are a lot of terms that need to be created that are technical, that are precise, that make it easier for us to reason about our systems. And observability is just kind of one of the first, right? But this is not a thing that can come from one person's brain. It kind of has to come from a lot of shared experiences. You know, when we were tossing around the idea of doing a one-day conference or something, we started lining up. Here's who we'd love to have speak. You know, here are all the talks that we'd love to have, and we were carving out a little place for discussion in the afternoon, and something just felt really off. You know, I love these people. I would love to listen to all these people speak. Well, actually, I don't really listen to people speak at conferences, but I don't have an attention span for it, but it's all about the hallway track. All right, full disclosure. Anyway, but it just felt wrong that we were doing 45 minutes of discussion and all of hours of listening to people, because that's not what you want at the beginning of something, right? You don't want to be lectured about how to do things in a field that is just nascent, right? That is just beginning to exist, which is why we kind of flipped it, and we're only going to have one or two talks. And the rest of the time, we're carving out for discussion. And we're really excited about some of these topics. You can propose topics of your own. We'll vote. We'll do all the cool shit, whatever. But I'm really excited. We're not just going to be doing these open spaces that are sort of ephemeral, and if you were fortunate enough to be there, then you're lucky. If you weren't, then you lose it, because the magic is over. We're going to focus really hard on having these conclusions that each of these birds of a feather little groups talk about, presenting it to everyone at the end of the day. Here's what we think the state of the art is for testing and production. Here's what we believe is necessary for cultural transformation for ops teams. Here's what is different and complementary between monitoring and observability. Here are the fuzzy lines. Here is where we, the people who are having these problems, who are running off this cliff of complexity, here's where we see the field today. And I don't know exactly what all will come of this. I hope that it doesn't just end here today, but that we can get some awesome blog posts out of it, that we can get more consensus around what some things mean, what some best practices are. Again, this is not a honeycomb conference, right? We're very explicitly we're your hosts, but we're all here to listen and participate. Some of us haven't had this experience, right? Some of us have. And those of us who have will really try to shut up and not dominate. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. So, observability, what does it mean? Our roles are fuzzy, right? They've always been fuzzy, but they're getting fuzzier. And this is frustrating to a lot of people because it seems like they're being asked to do multiple jobs, and they're still just getting paid for one, right? So I'd like us to be thinking about, what does it mean for roles, right? What does it mean for software engineers who are now trying to walk the observability path? What does it mean for ops people? Is monitoring still ops' job? You know, I have opinions on all these things, obviously, and you're welcome to adopt my opinions as your own. Also, I think it's worth thinking about, as we're thinking about what to talk in these open spaces, what have we been unable to do well so far because we've been missing this observability missing link? You know, testing and production is the thing that immediately jumps to my mind. We we've had the ability to do these things like feature flagging and canary deploys for a lot longer than we've had the ability to actually see what the fuck we've deployed, to break down by these high cardinality dimensions, to do all the nitty-gritty, the things that make it possible and worthwhile to invest our time into that tooling. We haven't had it. What else have we been unable to do because the state of the art has not been there for observability? I have 15 minutes. Cool, I've got a few more minutes. Google infrastructure for everyone else. Only makes sense when you have Google's problems for everyone else. But I would argue that more and more of us increasingly do, right? We don't have all of Google's problems at once, but whatever your startup is, whatever your company is, wherever is your differentiator, wherever you're successful at, you probably have the same problem, right? Because this is not a bright line between of scale, really, honestly. You don't have to have massive scale to have complexity problems. It's a bright line between systems that are distributed and systems that aren't. Systems that you can get away with applying like the classic toolkit, and systems where if you're leading on SSH, you've already screwed yourself, right? And obviously complexity, chaos, like these are things that everyone in this room has spent their entire career trying to pay down, problems they've been trying not to have. But sometimes it's worth having them. Like, remember how for years and years and years, like the best practice was the database? You get one. You get one database, you put every data problem you have into that fucking database, and don't try and spin up another Postgres in your development server because we knew how expensive it was to maintain multiple data storage solutions, right? Well, increasingly the best practice is you do have many data storage solutions. And it's not because that became less true. It's because the marginal utility and benefit from having these different ways of laying bits down on disk became that much greater. It became a core differentiator for you to have multiple storage solutions. So I think it's worth, this is all kind of part of the great convergence of all roles kind of like becoming rolled up into one. We will be more successful the more we know what our business is and the more we care about it, right? And we're not business people. Fuck, I'm not. But the more I can think clearly about what my actual problem is, my problem is not my database backups. My problem is that my users need this thing, and I need to be serving it in a way so that they'll give me money so we can all eat. The problems that are worth investing in this complexity and these advanced chaos management tooling around are the ones that make your business exist. So, in conclusion, rather than a conference, we've really been approaching this as a day of kind of co-creation. I know that's very, very, very Silicon Valley, very San Francisco-y of me to say that. There will be avocado toast for lunch. But this is not a day where we expect everyone to sit down and passively receive our great wisdom from the Mount. We invited you here because we want to listen, we want to share all that hippie shit. It's a technical term, I believe. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being here at what I hope is the beginning of something that's going to make our lives better.